The door flew open like a gunshot in the dead of night, splintering the fragile piece I'd carved out in that rain-lashed Brooklyn brownstone. Jordan stood there, drenched from the storm, her backpack thudding to the floor as her eyes locked onto us, Lena's fingers tangled in my hair, my lips still bruised from hers. In that heartbeat, the lie I'd buried for 19 years clawed its way to the surface, and I knew Rebecca's worst fear had just come true. Her daughter. Our daughter in the twisted knot of our family. Seeing the woman I really was. I was Amira Khalil, 35 years old, with a laugh that could light up a dive bar in Williamsburg and a heart scarred from too many half-truths. Back in '09, I'd met Rebecca at a rooftop party in the East Village, two lost souls in a city that chewed up dreams and spat out survivors. She was 24, a rising editor at a glossy mag, with that sharp bob haircut and a wit that sliced through bullshit like a hot knife. I was 20, fresh off a plane from Dearborn, Michigan, chasing art school illusions and the ghost of a freedom my conservative Muslim parents back home could never stomach. We clicked over cheap rose and shared cigarettes, her straight as an arrow facade cracking just enough for me to glimpse the curiosity beneath. But Rebecca wasn't like me. She loved men fiercely, messily, but she'd always had this pull toward the forbidden, the electric charge of what society whispered was wrong. Our affair lasted 6 months, a whirlwind of stolen nights in her walk-up on Avenue B. We'd fuck until dawn, her nails raking my back as she gasped my name like a prayer she didn't believe in. It was raw, unfiltered, me teaching her to trace the curve of a woman's hip, her showing me how to surrender without shame. But when she found out she was pregnant, courtesy of a one-night stand with some finance bro she'd hooked up with to prove something to herself, everything shattered. Panic set in. Her family in Connecticut was old money, Catholic to the core. The kind that donated to anti-gay campaigns while sipping martinis at galas. Mine? They would have disowned me faster than you can say honor killing. So we buried it. She married the father, David. A decent enough guy. A lawyer with a jawline like a Marvel hero and a blind spot for emotional landmines. I stood up as her best friend at the wedding, toasting their future with a smile that tasted like ash, all while my chest ached with the secret we'd sworn to take to our graves. David never knew. He thought I was the quirky artist roommate who'd crashed on their couch post-divorce. When their marriage imploded 5 years in, Rebecca citing irreconcilable differences, code for her wandering eye and his endless hours at the firm, I was there to pick up the pieces. By then, Jordan was 10. A firecracker of a kid with her mother's cheekbones and a mop of curls that defied gravity. Rebecca, drowning in guilt and gin, begged me to step in. Be her aunt, Amira. Keep her close. David needs someone steady. Steady. The word still makes me laugh bitterly. I moved into their Chelsea loft as the family friend turned stepmom, after David and I got hitched in a quiet city hall ceremony. It was a transaction. Plain and simple. I got a green card anchor, a roof over my head, and a front row seat to the girl I'd helped conceive in sin. He got a companion who didn't demand more than he could give. Rebecca, she got plausible deniability, watching from afar as I raised her daughter like my own, all while she rebuilt her life with a string of safe, boring boyfriends in the suburbs. But lies have half-lives, and mine was rotting from the inside. David died 2 years ago, aneurysm, quick and cruel, leaving me the loft in his will and a mountain of grief that felt more like relief. Jordan, now 19 and navigating her sophomore year at NYU, leaned on me harder than ever. We were thick as thieves, late-night falafel runs in Astoria, Her blasting Halsey in the car while I pretended to hate it. Me sketching her portrait during study breaks. Capturing the way her hazel eyes sparked when she talked about film theory. She called me Mira, soft and affectionate. Like I was the one constant in her fractured world. And God, I loved her fiercely. Protectively. In that bone-deep way that blurs the line between family and something more sacred. But beneath it all, I was starving. 20 years of closets and compromises had hollowed me out, leaving a woman who craved touch that didn't come with asterisks. That's where Lena came in. Lena Vasquez. 34. A tattoo artist with a studio in Bushwick and a smile that could melt steel. We met at a queer open mic 6 months back, me nursing a whiskey sour in the back. Her onstage reciting poetry about brown girls loving fierce in a world that wanted them small. Her words hooked into me like barbs. We bloom in the cracks. Thorns and all. Afterward. Over greasy diner fries at 2 a.m. She traced the henna scars on my wrist, faded from my wedding to David, and said, "You look like someone who's been carrying the weight of other people's secrets." I laughed it off. But 2 weeks later, I showed up at her door with a bottle of mezcal and a hunger I couldn't name. Our first kiss was in her loft. Paint-splattered canvases everywhere. Her hands smelling of ink and jasmine. It was like coming home to a language I'd forgotten I spoke. We kept it quiet. Of course. Jordan was fragile post-David, burying herself in scripts and avoidance. Rebecca called weekly. Her voice tight with that old guilt. Just don't let her see the cracks. Amira. She idolizes you. Promise me. Promise. Every time. Even as Lena and I carved out stolen hours, weekends in the Catskills, where she'd sketch me nude by the fire. Her fingers mapping constellations on my skin, lazy Sundays in my bed. The sheets tangled like our limbs, whispering futures we both knew were fragile. Lena got me. Saw the artist I'd buried under stepmom duties. The queer Arab woman who'd traded authenticity for survival. "You're not a villain for wanting this," she'd murmur against my throat. Her tattoos pressing warm against my chest. "You're human. Mi amor. Let yourself be." That rainy Tuesday in November. The storm had knocked out half the grid, turning Manhattan into a blacked-out beast. Jordan was supposed to be at a late lecture, but she'd texted an hour earlier. Prof canceled. Grabbing pizza? I'd forgotten. Lost in Lena's arms. The world narrowed to the rhythm of her breath. The way she arched under me like a wave breaking. We just collapsed. Laughing and spent. When the door. Amira. Jordan's voice cracked like thunder, pulling me back to the present. She hadn't moved. Rooted in the threshold. Rain dripping from her curls onto the hardwood. Lena bolted upright, clutching the sheet to her chest. Her blue eyes wide with the animal instinct of flight. I scrambled from my robe, heart hammering a staccato beat. "Jordan. Honey, wait." But she didn't. Her gaze flicked from Lena's flushed cheeks to the discarded wine glass on the nightstand. The Polaroid we'd snapped last week, me and her. Grinning like idiots in a photo booth. "Now ask you on the dresser." Who the fuck is she? The words landed like slaps. Raw and American in their blunt fury. The kind of profanity she'd picked up from me during our girl talks about shitty exes. Lena slipped from the bed, grabbing her jeans from the floor. I'm Lena. I should go. She shot me a look, handle this. But call me later, and vanished into the bathroom. The door clicking shut like a guillotine. Jordan's face crumpled. Not in anger, but something deeper. A betrayal that twisted her features into a mask of my own making. You're gay. All this time. Dad, Rebecca, they never said. She choked on the names, stepping back as if the air between us was poisoned. I thought you were just alone. Sad. Not this. I reached for her. Robe half tied. The vulnerability of my body feeling like exposure under her stare. Jordan. Please. Sit. Let me explain. She shook her head. Curls whipping wet arcs. Explain? You've been lying to me my whole life. Pretending to be the perfect stepmom while what? Screwing around behind closed doors. Her voice rose, echoing off the brick walls. The storm outside mirroring the one in her eyes. Does Mom know? Does she know? Rebecca. The ghost in the room. The architect of our fragile peace. I sank onto the bed. The sheets still warm from Lena. And nodded. She does. She always has. Jordan laughed. Bitter. Broken sound that cut deeper than any scream. Great. So everyone's in on the joke except me. The idiot kid who thought we were family. She turned on her heel. Storming out. The front door slamming like finality. I buried my face in my hands. The scent of Lena's perfume clinging to my skin like accusation. 20 years of careful scaffolding. And one unlocked door had toppled it all. The next morning dawned gray and unforgiving. The kind of November light that makes New York feel like a penance. Lena had slipped out around midnight, leaving a note on the kitchen counter. You're braver than you think. Call when the dust settles. Love. Elle. I clutched it like a talisman, brewing coffee strong enough to wake the dead. But Jordan never emerged from her room. Her door stayed shut. The silence thicker than fog off the Hudson. By noon, my phone buzzed. Rebecca. What the hell happened? Jordan just called me sobbing. Said she walked in on you with a woman. Her text came in rapid fire. Each one a needle prick. I told you to be careful. She's not ready. This could destroy her. I fired back. She deserved the truth. You made me promise to protect her. Not lie forever. Radio silence for an hour. Then, come to Connecticut. Now. We fix this together. Rebecca's house was a colonial in Greenwich. All white pickets and manicured lawns that screamed normalcy to anyone peering in. She'd traded the city chaos for this after the divorce, marrying a bland accountant named Mark who coached Little League and voted Republican. Their life was a diorama of heteronormativity, family barbecues, church on Sundays. No room for the queer specter that haunted her past. I pulled up in my beat-up Subaru just as the sun dipped low, the wipers slapping away the last of the drizzle. She met me on the porch, arms crossed over a cashmere sweater. Her once sharp bob now softened into highlights and layers. 44. She looked every bit the suburban queen. But her eyes, those green flecks I'd once drowned in, held the same flicker of fear. Amira, she said. Voice low, pulling me into a hug that felt more like restraint. Jesus. Get inside before the neighbors see. The living room smelled of lemon polish and regret. Photos of Jordan lining the mantel, gap-toothed grins. Promposes. Me in the background at graduations, smiling like I belonged. Mark was at work. The kids from his ex at soccer, blessedly absent. Rebecca poured us scotch. Neat. And we sat on the leather sectional like combatants circling. Tell me everything, she demanded, though her hands trembled on the glass. I did. The open door. Jordan's face. Lena's hurried exit. When I got to the part about the Polaroid, Rebecca's laugh was hollow. She's always been too perceptive. Like her mother. She paused, swirling the amber liquid. You know why I begged you to marry David, right? It wasn't just the baby. It was us. What we did. I couldn't face it. My parents would have cut me off, shipped Jordan to boarding school. So I built this life. Safe. Straight. And you were the price I paid. Her words hung heavy. The first crack in her armor since that rooftop all those years ago. I'd always wondered if she regretted us. If the memory of my body under hers haunted her like it did me. You think I wanted this cage? I shot back. Heat rising. I loved you, Becca. Not just the sex, the way you saw me. Really saw me. Before the world got its claws in. Marrying David? That was survival. But Jordan. She's the best part of that mess. And now I've broken her because I couldn't keep pretending. Rebecca's eyes welled. Tears carving clean lines down her powdered cheeks. I feared this exact moment. Not for me, for her. What if she hates us both? What if she thinks her whole life was a lie? She reached for my hand. The touch electric. A ghost of old intimacies. For a split second, I saw it. The girl who'd whispered stay after our last night. Before the test strip turned positive. But it faded. Replaced by the woman who'd chosen denial. Then we tell her, I said. Steeling myself. All of it. No more half-truths. She nodded. Slow. Like committing to a vow. Together. Jordan arrived an hour later. Summoned by Rebecca's terse call. Family meeting. No excuses. She stormed in like a tempest. Ugh, slapping the foyer tile. Her curls tied back in a furious ponytail. What? Intervention? Gonna ship me off to conversion camp. Her sarcasm was armor. But her eyes, red-rimmed, shadowed, betrayed the hurt beneath. Sit, Rebecca said, patting the cushion beside her. Jordan perched on the edge. Arms barred. Glaring at me like I'd invented betrayal. We started slow, David and me. The convenience marriage. Jordan's lip curled. So Dad was just a beard? That's fucked up. Not a beard, I corrected gently. He was kind. Loved you more than anything. But he and I. We were friends. Jordan. Roommates with benefits society approved of. She snorted. Benefits. Right. Then Rebecca took the wheel. Her voice steady as she laid it bare. The affair. The pregnancy. The panic. Me as the secret she'd locked away to build this life. Jordan's face drained of color. Her hands twisting in her lap. You. And Amira? Like, together, Mom? That's gay, I supplied. The word landing soft but seismic. Lesbian. To be precise. And before you ask, no. It doesn't make your life any less real. You were born from love, messy, complicated love, but love all the same. Jordan bolted up, pacing the Persian rug. This is insane. My whole family's a goddamn soap opera. And you? She whirled on me. That woman last night? Your girlfriend? How long? 6 months, I admitted. Lena. She's good for me. Makes me feel alive. A beat? Then. Does she know? About all this shit show? I nodded. She does. And she stayed. Jordan stopped. deflating onto the coffee table, elbows on knees. I don't know what to feel. Angry, hurt, but mostly, I feel stupid for not seeing it. The way you look at women in movies, or how you dodge questions about dating. I thought you were just picky. Rebecca reached for her.
Tentative.
We were protecting you. From what? Love. Jordan's voice cracked. Tears spilling now. I'm bi. Okay. Figured it out last year at a party. Kissed a girl from my dorm. And it felt right. But I never told you because I didn't want to disappoint you. The perfect family. The room stilled. Her confession a bridge across the chasm. Rebecca gasped, pulling her into a hug. And I joined. Our trio tangled in sobs and scotch-scented forgiveness. It wasn't absolution, not yet, but it was a start. The kind of raw humanity that New York winters forge from ice. We drove back to the city in convoy. Jordan shotgun in my car. The radio tuned low to some indie playlist she'd curated. Phoebe Bridgers crooning about ghosts we couldn't outrun. Rebecca trailed in her Volvo. Headlights a steady promise in the rearview. The silence between us wasn't comfortable. But it was honest. Laced with the tentative threads of rebuilding. So, Lena, Jordan ventured after a mile of asphalt. Her voice testing the waters. She hot. I choked on a laugh. Glancing over. Excuse me, she smirked. The first real spark since the blow-up. Come on, Mira. If I'm processing family sapphic drama, I need deets. Is she the brooding artist type? Tattoos? Bad poetry? All of the above, I admitted. Warmth blooming in my chest. And yeah, she's stunning. But it's more than that. She sees the parts of me I hid, the sketches in my closet, the playlists I never shared. Jordan nodded, fiddling with the AUX chord. Good. You deserve that. After everything, she paused, the unspoken with Mom hanging like fog. You ever regret it? I mean, the lie. Never you, I said fierce, merging onto the Bruckner. You're the plot twist that made sense of the chaos. But the hiding? Yeah. That shit eats at you. We pulled into the garage just as the city lights flickered on. A mosaic of neon and sodium glow. Rebecca parked beside us, emerging with takeout bags from that Thai spot on Bleecker, pad CEW and spring rolls. Comfort food for fractured nights. Sure. The loft felt less like a crime scene and more like neutral ground. Lena had texted earlier. Heard from a birdie you're spilling beans. Proud of you. Dinner tomorrow? I'd replied with a heart emoji. Simple as breath. We ate cross-legged on the living room floor. Cushions scattered like islands in a sea of unpacked grief. Rebecca regaled Jordan with sanitized stories from our wild days. Rooftop sunsets. Not the sweat-slicked sheets drawing hesitant laughs. Your mom was a terrible dancer, I teased. Dodging a thrown napkin. Like a possessed giraffe. Lies, Rebecca protested. But her eyes danced. The lines around them softening. Jordan watched us. Fork midway to mouth. A quiet awe settling in. You two look happy. Remembering. We were, Rebecca said softly, reaching across to squeeze my knee, a platonic anchor now, but laced with history. And we can be again. All of us. That night. After Rebecca crashed on the couch and Jordan retreated to her room with a mumbled night. Fam. I slipped into the kitchen for water. The city hum a lullaby through the fire escape. My phone buzzed. Lena. FaceTiming from her studio. Charcoal smudged on her cheek like war paint. Survivor's report? She asked. Her voice a velvet hook. Barely, I whispered, leaning against the fridge. But we're talking. No more vaults. Her smile lit the screen. That's my girl. Now, show me that sketch you promised, the one of Jordan's smirk. I padded to my studio nook, flipping on the desk lamp to reveal the canvas. Jordan mid-laugh. Curls wild. Eyes alight with that unfiltered joy. Lena whistled low. Talent like that shouldn't hide. Exhibit it. With me. The invitation hung. Tempting. My first show since art school. A lifetime ago. Maybe I hedged. But inside, the embers stirred. The weeks blurred into a tentative thaw. Jordan dove back into classes. But our routine evolved. Brunch at Sarah Beth's on Sundays, where she'd grill Lena over mimosas. Worst tattoo story? Lena. Ever the charmer. Spun yarns of drunken sailors and regretful exes. Her hand finding mine under the table. Quiet claim. Rebecca visited more.
Sans marque.
Who she confessed was fine. But not fire. One night, over wine on the balcony, she admitted, I miss the city. The us. Not romantically, just real. Stay a weekend, Jordan urged. Emboldened. Mark won't mind. He didn't, or if he did, he swallowed it like the good soldier he was. Rebecca bunked in the guest room, and we fell into an easy rhythm. Mornings with Turkish coffee and the New York Times crossword. Evenings debating Scorsese films until the witching hour. It was domestic bliss. Queered and mended. The kind of family Hallmark never scripts. But cracks lingered. Jordan's hookups were sporadic, a barista here, a classmate there, always followed by overanalysis. Was it the bi thing? Or just bad chemistry? I'd listen, offering the wisdom I'd clawed from my own trenches. Sex is easy. Connection's the bitch. Lena, sensing the void, suggested therapy, not the stuffy kind, but a queer group in the village run by a dyke with a PhD and a Harley. Jordan balked at first. I'm not broken, but went, emerging quieter, then brighter. Texts popping up talked about you guys. Felt. Seen. Meanwhile, my romance with Lena deepened, roots twisting into something seismic. She pushed me to submit to galleries, her belief a mirror reflecting the artist I'd shelved. Our nights were poetry in motion, her body a landscape I mapped with lips and tongue. Slow and reverent, her moans the soundtrack to my resurrection. I love you, she gasped one dawn. Tangled in Egyptian cotton, the skyline blushing pink beyond the blinds. All of you, the stepmom, the secret keeper, the woman who makes me believe in forever. I love you too, I breathed. The words a key turning in a long locked door. For the first time, it didn't feel like a risk. Climax brewed on a crisp December eve. The loft strung with fairy lights for Jordan's improv showcase.
Rebecca flew in solo.
Mark understanding her need for girl time. The theater buzzed. NYU kids in black turtlenecks. Parents clutching programs like shields. Jordan shone on stage. Her monologue a gut punch about fractured homes and found truths. Lines I'd helped polish over late-night revisions. We don't choose our origins, she declared. Voice steady. But we choose our endings. Backstage afterward, amid hugs and roses, Rebecca pulled me aside. Her face ashen. Mark knows. About. Before. Found old emails. He's leaving. The world tilted. Champagne flute slipping from my fingers. Becca. Not your fault, she cut in. Fierce. Mine. For burying it. But Jordan. I can't lose her in this. You won't, I vowed, pulling her into the green room shadows. Jordan burst in then. High on adrenaline. Freezing at our tear-streaked faces. What now? Rebecca spilled it, the unraveling. The blame she'd pinned on herself for years. Jordan's jaw set. That stubborn fire flaring. Fuck him. You're better without the closet enabler. She turned to me. Eyes searching. And you, Lena's waiting outside. Go. Be happy. We all deserve that. But as we piled into Ubers, Rebecca to a hotel, Jordan and I home, the betrayal crested. Jordan's phone lit up. Screenshots from Mark. Venomous texts forwarded in spite. Your wife's a dyke liar. Knew it from the start. Keep your freak family away. Rebecca's sobs echoed through speakerphone. A chorus of old wounds ripped fresh. I dropped Jordan at the loft, speeding to Rebecca's hotel in a haze. She opened the door in a robe. Mascara streaked, collapsing into my arms. I can't do this alone, she whispered. The scent of her Chanel no. 5 a time machine. Our hug lingered. Boundaries blurring in the grief, her hand on my waist. My chin on her shoulder. For a heartbeat, it was 2009 again. Electric and inevitable. But then Jordan called. Mira. Where are you? Mom's spiraling. Reality snapped back. I held Rebecca at arm's length. Gentle. We're family. That's enough. She nodded, wiping her eyes. Yeah. It is. The fallout was a blizzard of logistics. Lawyers. Leases. Lena's steady hand packing boxes for Rebecca's city return. Jordan mediated. Her youth a superpower. Mom. Crash with us till you find a place. It's like old times. Minus the repression. Through it. Lena anchored me. One snowy night, as Rebecca bunked down and Jordan studied in her room, we escaped to the roof, blankets and bourbon under the stars. This is your climax, Lena teased, nuzzling my neck. The big reveal, I laughed, pulling her close. And the betrayal? Mark's the villain. But I feel like I lit the fuse. Nah, she murmured, lips brushing mine. You lit the bonfire. Warmth over ashes. We made love there. Slow and starlit. The city sprawling below like a canvas we'd reclaim. Spring thawed the ice. Literally and not. Rebecca landed a remote gig editing indie zines. Subletting a walk-up in the Lower East Side. Close enough for Falafel Fridays. Far enough for autonomy. She started dating. A barista with a nose ring and no hang-ups. Her laughter freer. Unscripted. Jordan came out fully at a family dinner. Toasting with sangria. To the women who raised me flawed. Feared. And finally free. Mark faded to footnotes. Custody amicable. His pettiness no match for our rebuilt bond. My show opened in May. A Bushwick gallery humming with queer energy. Canvases of Jordan's portraits. Rebecca's shadowed profiles. Lena's tattooed form in abstract glory. Critics called it a queer odyssey of hidden selves. But the real win was Jordan's arm around me. Whispering. Proud of you, Mira. For all of it. As for me and Lena, we bought rings, simple gold bands, engraved with thorns and blooms, in a ceremony on that East Village rooftop. Rebecca officiating with teary vows. Jordan walked me down the aisle of strung lights. curls bouncing, her smile the sun. In the end, the truth didn't destroy us. It remade us human. Gart. But blooming in the cracks. Because in America, where dreams die hard and love fights dirtier, that's the real plot twist. Survival isn't straight lines. It's the messy, lesbian arc that bends toward light.